What if I told you that in 2026, you could own your home, fully built, legally permitted, move-in ready, for less than $45,000? Not a tent, not a shed, a real, beautiful, functional tiny house designed smart enough that you would never feel like you're living small. I have done the research, real 2026 pricing, real materials, real cost breakdowns, and I'm going to walk you through every single dollar. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what it costs, what to spend big on, what to skip, and the smart design decisions that can save you thousands without sacrificing 1 inch of comfort. And I'll be honest with you, most channels will not tell you the part where things go wrong. I will. So stay with me until the end, because the biggest money-saving tip in this video, I am saving it for last. Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I put out honest, no fluff content on DIY building and smart construction every week. And if you find this video useful, drop a comment below. Tell me, would you build your own tiny house? I read every single one. Alright, let's get into it. Let us start with context, because numbers mean nothing without it. The median home price in the US right now is nearly $400,000. With a 30-year mortgage at today's rates, you are looking at paying back close to $700,000 by the time it is all said and done. That is not a mortgage. That is a life sentence. A well-built DIY tiny house. You can own it outright, zero mortgage, zero bank, for between $20,000 and $50,000 in 2026, depending on your choices. That is not a fantasy. That is arithmetic. I know what some of you are thinking. You have seen those tiny houses that look like glorified dog kennels. I hear you. That is exactly why today we are talking about smart design. The kind that makes a 200 to 300 square foot space feel open, livable, and genuinely beautiful. Here is our target for today. $45,000 all in. That is our budget ceiling. Let me show you how to hit it, or even beat it. The very first decision you make will set the tone for your entire budget. You have two main paths. Path A is a tiny house on wheels. A trailer becomes your foundation. Trailer cost in 2026 runs from $4,500 to $11,000 depending on length and quality. You gain mobility and, in many areas, you can avoid some traditional building permits. The trade-off is lower resale value, and you will need a vehicle capable of towing it. Path B is a tiny house on a permanent foundation. A concrete slab costs $6 to $14 per square foot. So, for a 250 square foot footprint, that is roughly $1,500 to $3,500. It is a permanent structure with better real estate value, easier utility hookups, and more stability. The downside is you are locked into the location and need to follow full building codes. My recommendation for a $45,000 budget: go with a foundation build. You skip the $4,500 to $11,000 trailer cost. Your structure sits more stable, and your resale and rental value is significantly higher. We will build a smart, simple 200 to 280 square foot single-story home on a concrete slab. That is our build for today. Okay, this is the section you came for. Real numbers. No fluff. We are building a 240 square foot footprint, single-story, on a slab. Clean rectangular design. And I will explain shortly why that shape choice alone saves you thousands. Permits and plans will run you $1,000 to $1,500. Non-negotiable. You pull these before you break ground. Full stop. Site preparation and your concrete slab foundation come in at $1,500 to $2,500 for this footprint size. Framing and sheathing. The full skeleton of your walls and roof runs $5,000 to $7,000 using standard dimensional lumber. Roofing, and I recommend a metal standing seam system, costs $2,500 to $3,500. It outlasts asphalt shingles by decades, and I will explain why that matters in a minute. Windows and doors, budget $3,500 to $5,500. Do not cut corners here. Cheap windows mean leaks, condensation, and rot within 5 years. Insulation combining spray foam and bat runs $2,000 to $3,000. One of your best long-term investments for keeping utility bills low. Exterior siding using LP Smart Side or fiber cement adds another $1,500 to $2,500. Now the mechanical work. Plumbing, rough-in, and all fixtures will cost $3,500 to $5,000. Hire a licensed plumber, no exceptions. Electrical rough-in, your panel, and all fixtures run $3,000 to $4,500. Again, licensed electrician only. Your HVAC, a single 9,000 BTU ductless mini-split, heats and cools the entire space for $1,800 to $2,800 with zero ductwork required. For interiors, drywall and LVP flooring land at $2,000 to $3,500. A mid-range kitchen with IKEA cabinets, countertops, and a sink installed yourself costs $2,500 to $4,000. A compact bathroom, toilet, shower, vanity runs $1,500 to $2,500. Lighting and hardware throughout, budget $500 to $1,000. And always set aside a 10% contingency buffer. On this build, that is $3,200 to $4,300. Something always costs more than you expect. Something always needs fixing. That buffer is what separates a finished tiny house from an abandoned project. Add it all up, and you're looking at a range of $35,000 on the low end to just over $52,000 at the high end, with our $45,000 target sitting right in the middle. The key is the decisions you make next. Here is where most DIY builders leave thousands of dollars on the table. Not in their purchasing, but in their design. Smart design is not about aesthetics. It is about construction efficiency. First, go rectangular. Not L-shaped, not curved, not complex. Every corner you add costs money. Every curve wastes materials. A simple rectangle is the single cheapest shape to build. Less framing, less roofing complexity, less flashing, less labor. Builders who have analyzed successful DIY builds consistently find that complex wall shapes waste up to 30% more materials with zero real benefit to the living space. Rectangle wins every time. Second, stack your wet walls. Wet walls are the walls that carry your plumbing, your kitchen, and your bathroom. If those two rooms share a wall or are positioned back to back, you run one set of pipes, one drain, one vent stack. That single design decision can save you $1,000 to $2,000 in plumbing costs alone. Third, use a simple gable roof. That classic triangle shape is the cheapest and fastest to frame. It also gives you loft potential, a sleeping loft or storage area that does not count as square footage in most jurisdictions. That is free bonus space built into your design. Fourth, choose a mini-split HVAC. For 240 square feet, a single 9,000 BTU ductless unit heats and cools the entire home. No ductwork, no vents cut through walls. Tiny homes typically run $50 to $200 per month in utilities versus $300 to $500 for a traditional home. That gap adds up fast. Fifth, build vertical with a sleeping loft. A loft over the bathroom and kitchen gives you a private bedroom without expanding your footprint at all. Loft framing adds roughly $800 to $1,500 to your build and completely transforms how spacious the interior feels. I promised you honesty. Here it is. More than 68% of first-time DIY builders hit major cost problems during their build. Here are the 4 places where most budgets blow up. Mistake number 1. Ignoring permits until it is too late. Permits cost $1,000 to $2,000 depending on your location. That is not optional. Building without them means you can be ordered to demolish the structure. Pull the permits first. Every single time. Mistake number 2. DIYing the electrical and plumbing. I know it is tempting to try to do everything yourself, but electrical and plumbing done wrong create fire hazards and water damage, and they will not pass inspection. Hire licensed professionals for these 2 trades. Yes, it costs more, but it protects your investment and your safety. Mistake number 3. Underestimating windows and doors. This is where you should not scrimp. Cheap windows mean leaks, rot, high energy bills, and replacement within 5 years. The builders who have built the most durable tiny houses consistently say the same thing. Spend the most you can afford on your foundation, your roof, and your windows and doors. These 3 things represent the long-term durability of your entire home. Mistake number 4. No contingency budget. I already mentioned this in a cost breakdown, but it is worth saying again. Always set aside 10%. On a $40,000 build, that is $4,000. Something always costs more than expected. That buffer is not pessimism. It is wisdom. Want to push that number lower? Here is how real DIY builders trim their budget without cutting quality. Habitat for Humanity Restore locations carry discounted cabinets, doors, windows, flooring, and fixtures, often 50 to 70% off retail. Legitimate, quality materials that contractors and homeowners donated from real projects. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are gold mines for reclaimed lumber, surplus materials, and salvaged hardwood flooring. One builder sourced 100-year-old barn wood for his entire exterior siding at almost no cost. Character-rich and budget-friendly at the same time. For roofing and flooring, call local professional installers directly. They regularly have overstock and offcuts they will sell cheaply. For a tiny house, you do not need much. 240 square feet of flooring is a tiny order. You have real negotiating power. IKEA's section kitchen cabinets are affordable, customizable, and look sharp in a small space. DIY installation saves you $500 to $1,500 in labor costs versus hiring it out. And finally, act as your own general contractor. Coordinate your own subcontractors instead of hiring a general contractor to manage everything. That decision alone can save you 10 to 20% of your total build cost. On a $45,000 project, that is potentially $4,500 to $9,000 back in your pocket. Let's be realistic about the timeline. A DIY tiny house build typically takes 6 to 12 months, not 6 weekends. Design, permits, and site prep take 2 to 4 months, and you should not rush this phase. Foundation and framing take 1 to 2 months. Roofing, siding, windows, and doors take another 1 to 2 months. Rough-in plumbing and electrical, done by professionals, takes 2 to 4 weeks. Insulation, drywall, and interior finishes take 1 to 2 months. Then kitchen, bathroom, fixtures, and the final punch list takes 3 to 5 more weeks. A professional builder completes a tiny house in about 120 hours on average. A first-time DIYer should expect 480 to 600 hours. But here's the flip side. That time is equity. That labor is replacing $15,000 to $25,000 in contractor fees. Your time is your investment. I told you at the top I would save the biggest money-saving tip for last. Here it is, and most people overlook it completely. The cheapest house to build is the simplest house to build. That sounds obvious, but here's what it really means in practice. Every extra feature you add, a bay window, a curved ceiling, a complicated roofline, a deck, custom loft railings, compounds costs. Not just in materials, but in time, in mistakes, in redesigns, and in contractor callbacks. The builders who come in on budget are not the ones who design the most interesting tiny houses. They are the ones who design the most efficient tiny houses, and then made those efficient spaces feel amazing through smart interior choices once the structure was done. Build simple first. Build it right. Liven it. Then add the touches over time when the home is finished and fully paid for. That is how you get a $45,000 tiny house that feels like a $90,000 one. One last thing. 32 states now recognize properly permitted tiny houses as permanent dwellings under IRC Appendix Q standards. So if you have been waiting because you were not sure you could legally live in one full time, in most of America, you absolutely can. Check your local zoning laws, but the landscape has changed dramatically in the last few years. So, $45,000 for a simple, smart, beautiful DIY tiny house. It is not a dream. It is a plan, and now you have the numbers to make it real. If you found this breakdown useful, a thumbs up genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are trying to build smarter. Subscribe if you have not yet, and drop your comment below. What is stopping you from building a tiny house? Let's talk through it. Next video, I'm going to take this exact floor plan and show you the full interior layout, how to fit a real kitchen, a full bathroom, a sleeping loft, and actual storage in 240 square feet with 3D visuals. You do not want to miss it. I will see you in the next one.